I am Curran Bhatia speaking with Anthony Taylor. He's, of course, taking on Tommy Fury on August 29th, the undercard of Jake Paul versus Tyron Woodley. Anthony, how are you doing, my man?
Oh man, I feel great, Kern. I appreciate it, man. I feel amazed. I feel amazing. I'm sorry. I'm here in Cleveland, Ohio, ready to shock the world and prove them wrong again.
And I want to talk about your fight and this matchup, but you did just get to Cleveland. You touched down. We know that this is going to be a huge event, one of the biggest pay-per-view events of the year. What's the vibe like? What's the energy like right now in Cleveland?
Oh, man, if you know my personality, I just have a crazy fun personality. I'm charismatic. I'm like this before every fight. I have nothing, no ill will against Tommy. When I do this sport, I want to have fun when I do the sport. I want to laugh and enjoy myself. The vibe in Cleveland has just been normal. It's a little concerning to me because I feel a little too calm. It's like, okay, it's boxing. I've boxed before, but the vibe itself is just it's very relaxing.
That's good that you're relaxed. That's always something good before a big fight. So let's talk about your opponent, Tommy Fury. He's the younger half-brother of course, Tyson Fury. He's 6-0 with 4 KOs. He's 22 years old. He's obviously very hyped up because of who his brother is, and he's trying to chart his own path. You're standing in the way. So when you first got the call about Tommy Fury as your opponent, what was going through your head?
I mean, it was crazy because I manifested. Let me close this window because that
do
call
it.
alarm is crazy.
Do it. Go for it.
So much better now. It was kind of throwing me off.
No worries.
It was crazy because I manifested this fight happening. I tweeted on my Twitter, I believe May 31st, January 1st. I called Tommy out like, hey, come fight me. Stop fighting these bums. Come fight me. And before I did that, me and Jake Paul had a fallout. So then Jake Paul invited me to his camp in June, which is, a little over a month of me having that tweet out. So he invited me over to his camp in Puerto Rico. I flown there. I was training with him for about 3 weeks. He was like, hey, I like your charisma. You're a hard worker. You got heart. I want to give you an opportunity to change your life. I'm like, okay. He's like, you heard of Tommy Fury? I'm like, absolutely. That's the guy who's been trying to fight you. He's like, yes. He's like, I want you to fight him on my undercard. What do you say? I was shocked. I was like, yo, like, I really manifested this. Like, yeah, absolutely. And it's crazy how I manifested. Like, I knew I can get there. It was just how hard do you want it? How much work are you putting into this to get it? And it was just a crazy shock to me for him to tell me that. And it's like, okay, yo, let's do it.
And that's amazing that you were able to manifest this, put this together, and now you have this huge opportunity. Let me ask you this. There is going to be a size difference in this fight. He's 6 feet tall. He's going to have the height advantage on you. He's fought as high as 190 pounds. There's also going to be the age difference, right? You're 32 years old. He's 22 years old. So 10-year difference there. How are you going to make up for the size and for the age? What's the plan?
Well, it's easier on my part is because I fought at 155 in MMA, and the average height at 155 is between 5'11" and 6 feet. And me being the shortest guy in my gym, everybody's 6 feet. So I'm used to getting in on people, on taller fighters. I mean, for Christ's sakes, we're sparring 4-ounce MMA gloves. So you better learn how to get in closer on those type of guys if you want to win. It's never been a factor to me in my career because I was just, Antonio taught me how to get in easier on those taller guys. For him, it's a little bit more difficult because he's never sparred or fought somebody my height. So he's having to change levels. For me, being 5'7" to him being 6 feet, it's not an issue. He's only 5 inches taller than me. He's not special. I can see if he was like 6'6" or 6'8", different story. But he's only 5 inches taller. It's not a factor to me.
And I've heard you say that Tommy Fury is not cut from the same cloth as his brother, Tyson Fury. So why do you feel that way?
I mean, look at Tommy's like a tough paper towel. If you spill something, you just get one paper towel, cleans the whole mess up. Tommy, he's like toilet paper. That cheap toilet paper. Not that Charmin, that cheap toilet paper you get at the dollar store, and you're like, man, it's kind of taking some skin off me down there. You know? But they're just not, they're not the same theory. The one is different, the other is. You know, I'm not worried about Tommy because he doesn't pose any type of threat to me. You know, for Christ's sakes, he's the only reason why he's on his card because he has that last name. I mean, I get it. The reason why I'm on this card because I know Jake. I understand the situation here. I get it. It's the build up. People want to see Tommy fight Jake. We get it. Jake knows that. Jake's not dumb, you know. But Jake is like, hey, here's your chance to show him why I chose you to be my sparring partner. I don't have to fight him. Beat him, great. If you lose and I have to fight him, that's okay. But go in there and beat him. I want you to be successful.
Tommy Fury turned pro in December of 2018. His opponent at the time had 10 wins and 102 losses. And I know that you've taken issue with that, right? So what was your issue of him during his pro debut fighting with someone with 102 losses?
I think he's young. He's 22 years old. He hasn't hit his prime. He hasn't hit his grown man strength yet. But the fact that he comes in unbothered, as if he's just a knockout artist, disrespecting me, just blowing me away. Him and his dad, you know, I get it. It's part of the game. I'm a huge Tyson Fury fan. I'm just going to say that. I followed him his whole career. I love Tyson Fury. I still think he's going to be Deontay Wilder. That doesn't take the fact that I'm going to still beat up your little brother. But what I'm saying is, you know, Tommy hasn't fought nobody. Those guys, you win. You just can't fight a guy with a losing record like that and expect to improve. You're not going to improve. You're going to get better fights from sparring than you are in an actual fight. Where you're not improving. You're only as good as your last opponent. And your last opponent was 0-26, 2-26, 0-11, 0-9, 2-0, and you're struggling. As opposed to me, hey, a lot of people don't know this, Curran. I'm the only active MMA fighter who's transitioning into boxing with a winning record. The last high-profile fighters, Anderson Silva, he won, but he had a losing record. Ben Askren had a losing record, and Tyron Woodley. Those guys were all champions, future Hall of Famers. They had nothing to prove. They left it all in the cage. I have ambition. I have so much to prove to myself, to the world. Hey, there's something that I might want to go to the UFC one day. This is an obstacle. You know, I might stay with Showtime and box. This is an obstacle. But I know where my heart lies. I know where my talent skill set is, and I know where his is. And I know for a fact I'm going to beat this guy 100%.
And how much of your feeling that you're going to beat him has to do with the fact that you think he's overestimating you because he's trying to set up this mega fight with Jake Paul?
It's 100%. He's paying no mind to me. He doesn't acknowledge me. This is his mindset. Oh, I'm flying to Ohio, step in the ring with Jake Paul and face off. Like, you're totally forgetting you're fighting Sunday night. And it's literally like a Rocky thing. It's like Rocky, a little bit of Adonis Creed going on. You know, Apollo Creed gives this underdog Rocky a chance. Hey, I'm not going to pay no mind or attention, you know, but it's going to be his big mistake, and he's just not ready for that yet. And it hasn't kicked in to where it sets in.
And you said if you lose, it's just an MMA fighter losing to a boxer. But if I win this fight, I'm a megastar. And I know you're into manifestation and positive thinking, so I'm sure you've thought about this. After this fight, if you do come out victorious, what happens to you, your career, your everything?
I think winning this fight, which I know I will, we either probably I'll be open to giving him a rematch, but it would definitely headline in England at the Wembley Stadium. Or I stay with MMA either possibly sign with UFC or Bellator. But that's all something to after this fight. I'm open. I'm open to fighting KSI. I'm open to fighting Manny Pacquiao if he wants to retire. Last fight would he retire? I'm open. I'm open. I have an open mind. So whatever his team wants to do, he can reach out to my team and we can all come together and talk and sit down about it. But I'm open to all possibilities. Hell, I'd be open to WWE if they called me.
And I want to ask you about future opportunities and future opponents. But before we move on from Tommy Fury, let me ask you this. I know you've been on the record before, but let's get it here. Your official prediction for this fight on Sunday, August 29th against Tommy Fury is what?
It's either second round TKO or unanimous decision by me.
Okay, great. So let me ask you this. You were 7-5 in mixed martial arts. You were riding a 5-fight winning streak in MMA, right? Is this, but you've also tried your hand in boxing. You had a pro fight in 2017. Right. Was it always the plan to go back and forth? Is it because this opportunity came up with the whole situation with Jake? Are you going to kind of go back and forth going forward? What's the plan for you?
Okay, let's see. So I started fighting boxing at 18. I accumulated an amateur record of 12-1. I just fell in love with MMA at the age of 25, 26. In 2017, I went through a very hard time in my life where I lost my job, lost my spot, lost my car. I needed money. A promoter hit me up, say, hey, I know you're going through some rough times. Do you want to make some money? Sure. I have a fight. When? Tomorrow. I said, okay. I took the fight on a one-day notice because I need some money, homeless. So I lost that by split. I've always thought about taking boxing seriously, but I didn't know it would take me to where I'm at now. Now where I'm in the present time of this very moment, I think there still is a future for me, but it's not for long because I am 32. And most of the time when you're a 32-year-old boxer, it's like being in the NBA and you're 32. It's like, okay, you're starting to get out your primes, So I understand, okay, if I'm going to do it, I got to do it now. Not after MMA when I'm 38, 39. It's either you do it now or not at all. Because MMA, you can look at DC. DC became a champion. Daniel Cormier became a champion at 38, 39, 40. There's still time because MMA is still time. Boxing, there's not a lot of time. You got kids who've been doing this since the age of 5, and their repetition is so great. By the time they're 18, they already have over 300 amateur fights. So I know where I'm at as far as the sport of boxing. Winning this fight can potentially keep me in boxing for a period amount of time.
That's an amazing story. The fact that you had to battle homelessness and you were able to work your way out of it. Speaking about fighters' pay and things like that, I know that you said you actually made more sparring with Jake Paul than you made in your MMA career, right? So what do you think about MMA, the payouts in MMA and how can we fix this problem?
I can only speak on my situation as far as others. As far as what they say about the UFC, I can't really speak on the UFC because I'm not employed under the UFC. I don't fight for the UFC. That's a goal and dream where I'm leaning towards. But that's between them and their peoples. That has nothing to do with me. But as far as me fighting on the regional circuits to get to that top level of like UFC and Bellator and stuff, it takes a lot. You're sacrificing so much for such little, and Jake has done a great job at advocating about fighters' pay because he understands the risk. We take a lot more damage on ourselves than boxers do. Yeah, they're boxing, but you're not getting elbow to the face. You're not getting a huge laceration above your eye. You're not dealing with that. And I get that he's doing that, and me as a fighter, I appreciate him speaking up because a lot of people are not going to speak up on it. As far as me, I can speak up on it because I'm not signed with no organization. Right now, I'm contracted under Showtime, But, yeah, fighter pay will be definitely amazing, especially benefits, But that's over time. That has to come over, how I put it, leading by example. Someone has to lead by example and start the movement. Because if we don't come together as a team, nothing's going to get planned. So that's my take on, fighter pay and such.
And to Jake Paul's credit, he has advocated for fighters' pay, not just with sparring partners, but also with professional fighters. He's mentioned UFC many times. And according to Jake, every fighter on this undercard is getting paid the most that they've made in a fight. Is that accurate for you as well?
Absolutely. Let's say this. I'm getting paid three times I am as if I was fighting all together. Like all my career in MMA of 6 years MMA, now triple that. I'm not going to talk numbers, but triple that what I made. you know, I appreciate what Jake has done for the sport now. As far as boxing, he's bringing the passion out of people. I'm not saying he's a world-class boxer, but he's a very entertaining boxer, and people want to see entertaining people. And he's a great fighter. He's improved every single time. Every single time he's fought, he's getting better, and he's doing a really good job taking care of the team that he has around him. And he makes sure that they're comfortable. He makes sure that they're well taken care of. They're spoken for. So he's done a really good job with his team and the people that he's networking and working with.
And you have sparred with Jake in the past. What did you make of his boxing, his fighting style? Obviously every report is that he's taking it seriously. We can see the hard training going on. He's obviously very dedicated to this sport. He's bringing together interesting matchmaking and these big events. What did you think of him as a boxer when you sparred with him?
A lot of people think different because they think, oh, YouTuber, Disney Channel guy. My mindset is different because I'm a fighter. You step in a cage, you step in a ring. I don't care if you're a plumber, a nanny, or a doctor. You step in that ring or cage with me, you're a fighter now. I don't care. His boxing, like I said, his boxing has improved tremendously because he has a student mentality. He doesn't think, oh, well, I'm rich. I can, he doesn't think like that. The man's in the gym six days a week, 3 times a day. This guy is film studying. He's eating healthy. He's doing the right things he needs to do to be successful, and he's improved. Every time we spar, he's improved every time we spar. I mean, even though he's been doing this for 3 years, the amount of time he's put in, it seems as if he's been doing it for about 6.5, 7 years, because he's doubling his workload when he's training, and he's improving. He's seeing things, and he's doing a really good job. You have to give the man credit. He's doing a good job. It's not like he's going in there, he's fighting guys like the way Tommy's fighting. Like, yo, you're not going to have a legitimate career fighting guys like that. I mean, yeah, he's fought Addison Gibbs, and I don't know if I'm saying his name right, but he seems motivated. He wants to box. He seems very motivated. He fought Nate Robinson. I mean, I get it. He was a world-class athlete. He's fought Ben Askren. Ben Askren was a multiple world champion in different organizations. I mean, I get it. Ben Askren's past his primes, but he's also fighting Tyron Woodley, who's a UFC legend and a world champion. So it's not like Jake is going to Mexico and fighting guys in Mexico and building these records. He's fighting tough guys. Canelo hasn't fought guys like Tyron, capable of people like Tyron in his fourth fight. So you have to give Jake's credit. Look, Jake doesn't have to fight. He has money. He doesn't have to fight. He chose to do this sport because he felt like he could have bettered himself in life. He challenged himself.
He's certainly challenging himself, and every fight, as you mentioned, is a step up in class, and that's what actually makes it really interesting. We were talking about you sparring excuse me. We were talking about you sparring Jake. If anyone follows you on social media, Anthony_Prettyboy, we could see your post, and it seemed like at some point there was some beef with you and Jake, and that needed to be resolved with sparring. What was the issue there?
I think a lot of it was, we said some things to beef up the fight for the Ben Askren fight. We had our differences, the video would never be shown, but during the time, BJ and his team reached out to me and said, hey, we like what you did the first time you sparred. We would like to have you in camp for this fight, and let's see if we make a good team. So coming in, we came together, and coming together, me and Jake became really good friends. Like he opened his house to me. Like, I got to eat with his friends. I met his mom, his whole family. Like, he opened himself and the family to me. And I was very appreciative of it, because we could have just been sparring partners, but he's seen something more in me, more than just a sparring partner. He saw that, hey, I can give this guy an opportunity. He didn't have to do it. I look at it as this: he could have brought anybody else in the world to come spar on him. It's Jake Paul. He could have brought any boxer and MMA fighter, but he chose me. I'm in a great position. And like I said, I manifest these things, even with the Jake Paul thing. I say, hey, I'm going to fight you, Jake. Hey, all of a sudden, hey, I'm fighting him, but we're sparring. So, and I was manifesting this back in 2020. If you look at my Instagram, so the power of manifestation is amazing, but then you have to put in the work behind that. So now I'm in this position to change my life, and I'm grateful for it.
You're absolutely on the doorstep towards changing your life for the better. And that's amazing that you were able to use manifestation and positive thinking and hard work to get there. Just a couple more questions before I let you go. So this is the undercard that we're talking about of Jake Paul and Tyron Woodley, of course, August 29th on Showtime pay-per-view. You've spent a lot of time with Jake Paul. We mentioned it's interesting matchmaking. He's stepping up in class. And Tyron Woodley is a former champion. He's fought the absolute best in UFC. If you had to, as of right now, the betting odds have Jake as a favorite. Your official prediction for Jake Paul versus Tyron Woodley would be what?
6th round TKO or unanimous decision, Jake. So, yeah, Jake TKOs Tyron in a 6th round. If not, I got him by unanimous.
And we know that Woodley is a wrestler, but he has, of course, the big right hand. He can strike. Do you think that there's a chance that Woodley could knock out Jake?
I mean, it's boxing. There's a chance anybody can get knocked out, at the right time, at the right moment. Woodley does possess knockout power. Me and Woodley, we had the same striking coach, Antonio McKee. Woodley's been dealing with Antonio McKee for 7 years or plus more. Me, I've been dealing with Antonio McKee for about 6 years. So Tyron does have the knockout power. I mean, you're not a UFC champion for no reason with pillow hands. But Tyron does pose a threat to Jake. But I don't really see him putting Jake in danger because of Jake's high boxing IQ.
And again, credit to Jake for just choosing an opponent where we really don't know what's going to happen. Sometimes in boxing, the odds are so wide and you kind of know what's going to happen. That is definitely not the case on Sunday night. So let me ask you this. I know you've called out a lot of people. You have your test with Tommy Fury, of course, on Sunday, but just right. Looking ahead a little bit, you mentioned in this interview, you mentioned Manny Pacquiao. I know you've mentioned Conor McGregor in the past as well. Jake Paul's headlining this card. You've sparred. I'm sure maybe if you can have a spectacular performance and get yourself on a lot of radars with that on Sunday night, people may be calling for that fight. Who do you want next?
Who do I want? It'd be fun if I fight Adonis Creed, if you know what I mean. If you know what I mean. Adonis Creed, let's go. But ultimately, Manny Pacquiao. He's a legend. One of my idols in boxing. Why not be his last fight? Why not? Hey, go on the high end. win or lose, I can say, hey, I fought Manny Pacquiao. Why not? That would be awesome. Why not?
And if you do have a spectacular performance, the fight that people were talking about was Jake Paul versus Tommy Fury. And if you do play spoiler, the conversation could start between you versus Jake Paul. Is that a fight that you would entertain?
No, definitely not. You know, Jake Paul is a friend of mine. He put me in this position to succeed. Definitely don't want to, burn bridges like that. In the past, I had my difference, but now I understand things now, and definitely want to fight Jake Paul. And it's not because I'm scared or I'm better or he's better. It's just we're a team now. Teams stick together.
And final question for you. We talked about a lot of the highs and a lot of the lows. And I know that you had to kind of get yourself out of tough situations. You were able to do so. What would be your final message to your fans, your supporters, and especially anyone who may be going through a tough time? What would be your advice to them?
Love yourself and set long-term goals. By setting them, you have to set mini goals so you can achieve those mini goals. And over time, those mini goals will turn to long-term goals. Write it down. What do you guys want to do? Write it down. Write it down and manifest them.
And final thing, where can people follow you on social media and keep up with you?
Oh, definitely. You can follow me on Instagram, Anthony_prettyboy. You can find me on Twitter, Anthony_forreal. Facebook, Anthony Prettyboy Taylor. TikTok, Anthony Prettyboy Taylor. And if you can't find none of all that, just Google me, Anthony Prettyboy Taylor, and it'll pop up.
Anthony Taylor, you're taking on Tommy Fury on Showtime pay-per-view Sunday, August 29th on the undercard of Jake Paul versus Tyron Woodley. Definitely looking forward to this fight. Anthony, thank you so much for the time and best of luck.
I appreciate you, man. Thank you for having me on your show, expressing my beautiful personality, and I got to talk to you. I'm honored to talk to you, my man. I appreciate you.